Every night, my neighbor's lights blinked in Morse code until they spelled my name. I've lived in the same apartment complex for almost 6 years. It's not fancy. The walls are thin. The hallways always smell faintly like someone's dinner from 2 floors down. And the elevator makes a noise that sounds like a dying animal. But it's cheap and quiet, and most importantly, familiar. My unit faces the courtyard, and directly across from me, in Building B, is another row of windows that line up almost perfectly with mine. That's where my neighbor used to live. A guy named Mr. Reynolds. Used to. Because 3 years ago, he went missing. No one knew much about him. Retired electrician. Lived alone, always polite, but distant. One day, he just disappeared. The police came, looked around, asked questions, but found nothing. His apartment stayed empty for a long time. Until a few months ago, I noticed something strange. It started one night, while I was watching TV with the lights off. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a flash from across the courtyard. I thought maybe it was lightning, but when I looked outside, the sky was clear. Then another flash, and another. 3 short, 1 long to short. Pause. Then again. It wasn't random. It was rhythmic. I stared for a few minutes, trying to figure out what it was. A reflection from someone's phone. A flickering bulb. Maybe a motion sensor. But then I realized the pattern repeated exactly the same way every time. And I don't know why, but something deep in my gut told me, that's Morse code. Now, I'm no code expert, but I remembered just enough from some old online puzzle I tried years ago. I grabbed a notebook and started jotting down the sequence. 3 short, 1 long, 2 short. After a quick search on my phone, my stomach dropped. That spelled out the letter N. The next sequence came right after. 1 long, 1 short, 1 long, 1 short. That was O. Then another. 1 long, 1 short, 1 long, 1 short again. O again. Then 3 short flashes, S. It took me a few seconds to realize what I was looking at. News. It didn't make sense. Maybe I'd copied it wrong. I watched again. 3 short, 1 long, 2 short, 1 long, 1 short, 1 long, 1 short, 1 long, 1 short, 1 long, 1 short, 3 short. No, I hadn't misread it. Only, when I looked again, the pattern had changed. Now it was spelling something else. An OH. My name. I froze. I don't know how long I sat there. Probably 10, maybe 15 minutes. Just staring across the courtyard at that single blinking light. My brain tried to rationalize it. Someone playing a prank. A weird coincidence, maybe a sensor glitch. But then it stopped. Total darkness. I remember whispering out loud, "Hello?" Like an idiot, as if whoever was behind the light could hear me. Nothing. After a few minutes, I went to bed, but sleep didn't come easily. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that blinking light again, flashing my name over and over. By morning, I convinced myself it was nothing. Maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. Maybe it wasn't even Morse code at all. But the next night, at exactly 11:47 p.m., the light started blinking again. And this time, it wasn't spelling my name. It was spelling my birthday. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in bed staring at the digital clock glowing on my nightstand. 11:47 p.m. As the same pattern blinked again and again through my window. The exact same timing, the exact same rhythm. Only this time, when I jotted down the sequence, it translated into something impossible to ignore. 0714, July 14th. My birthday. My chest tightened. I remember saying, "No way," out loud, my voice shaking. It couldn't be real. Nobody knew I was watching that light. Nobody in the building knew my birthday. I barely even talked to my neighbors. I tried to rationalize again. Maybe someone found an old list of tenants and was having fun. Or maybe the flicker wasn't even Morse code, and I was just seeing patterns where there weren't any. But deep down, I knew. This wasn't random. I decided to test it. I grabbed my phone, went to the Notes app, and typed out a message. "If you can see this, blink twice fast." I turned the flashlight on and pointed it toward the opposite building, holding the beam steady out my window. Then I gave 2 quick flashes into the dark. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then blink, blink, 2 perfect flashes. My hands went cold. I dropped the phone, scrambling to pick it up. The light flickered again from across the courtyard, slower this time, like it was waiting for me. I aimed my phone again, but my hands were shaking too much. I turned the flashlight off and shut the curtains. The next morning, I told myself I'd go over there. I'd walk across the courtyard, find the apartment directly opposite mine, and just look. Maybe the new tenant had some kind of smart bulb that was glitching. Maybe it was just bad wiring. But when I got there, The door to the unit was sealed with old police tape. Faded and half torn. Apartment to be 07, missing person investigation, do not enter. That was Reynolds' apartment. It hadn't been rented out since he disappeared. There were cobwebs around the doorframe, dust thick enough to write in. No light inside, no sign of life. I asked the building manager, Mrs. Foster, if anyone had been in there recently. She looked at me like I'd grown to heads. Of course not, she said. That place is locked tight. Electricity's been off for years. Why do you ask? I told her I thought I'd seen a light in the window. She frowned. Honey, that's impossible. There's no power in that unit. We never reconnected it after the police closed the case. I left her office with my heart hammering. That night, I didn't plan on watching the window. I really didn't. But curiosity's a funny thing. It crawls into your mind and makes a nest. At 11:47 p.m., I was sitting in the dark again, staring across the courtyard, and right on time, blink, blink, blink. This time, I was ready. I recorded it on my phone, zooming in as much as I could. The light looked like it was coming from somewhere inside the apartment, behind the curtains. The sequence was different now. I spent half an hour translating it, pausing the video frame by frame until I got the full message. When I finally read what it said, I felt my whole body go numb. Help Emmy. The next morning, I took the video to the police station. The officer at the desk, a guy named Jenkins, watched about 10 seconds before signing. Sir, this is a closed case, he said. No one's in that apartment. It's probably a reflection or a kid messing with a laser pointer. But look, I said, replaying the part where the words clearly spelled help Emmy. He shrugged. You'd be surprised what looks like patterns when you're expecting them. We'll send someone to check. But don't hold your breath. I left frustrated, but part of me hoped he was right. I wanted it to be nothing. But that night, the light came back. This time, it didn't say help me. It said, come here. And the instant I read it, the light in my own living room flickered. Once, then twice, then 3 times, exactly the same rhythm. I didn't want to go. Every cell in my body screamed don't. But the thing about fear is it's magnetic. It pulls you toward what you least want to face. So the next morning, I stood in front of apartment to be 07 with my palms sweating and my heart hammering against my ribs. The faded police tape fluttered against the door, brittle and useless. The lock was simple. I shouldn't know how to open it. But curiosity is a dangerous teacher. After 10 minutes and a small screwdriver from my maintenance kit, the latch gave way with a soft click. The door creaked open. A wave of stale air rolled out thick, sour, metallic. The smell of time and something else underneath it. Inside, everything was coated in a thin film of dust. The furniture was covered with sheets, yellowed with age. A single coffee mug sat on the counter. Fossilized remains of what might have been coffee still clinging to its rim. And in the center of the living room stood a lamp, a plain desk lamp. Its shade was tilted slightly, pointing toward the window directly at my apartment across the courtyard. I froze. The cord hung down to the floor, unplugged. No batteries, no extension cords, nothing. And yet, when I stepped closer, I could swear I felt a faint warmth coming off the bulb. I whispered, hello. My voice echoed off the empty walls. No answer. I pulled out my phone, turned on the flashlight, and scanned the apartment. Dust motes danced in the beam. On the far wall, just beside the window, something was scratched into the paint, for deep lines. Then another 4. Then another. I crouched closer. They weren't just scratches, they were tallies. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. Carved by hand. Counting days. Something about the pattern made me uneasy. The final group wasn't finished, only to tallies. Cut deeper than the rest. As if whoever made them had stopped suddenly. Behind me, the door creaked shut. I spun around, light jerking wildly across the room. But it was just the draft. Still, the sound was enough to send a chill through my spine. I forced myself toward the window, looking out. From this angle, I could see straight into my own living room. The curtains there were open. My reflection stared back, tiny, distorted by the glass. And then the lamp beside me flicked on. I stumbled backward, nearly dropping my phone. The bulb glowed a dull, sickly yellow. Not bright enough to see by, but enough to pulse. 3 short flashes. 1 long, 2 short. My throat closed up. And the same pattern that started everything. The lamp kept blinking, slow and deliberate, as though something unseen was controlling it. I wanted to run, but something deep in me whispered, keep watching. So I did. I recorded the whole thing. After about a minute, the sequence ended. I translated it later, frame by frame. The message said, he's still in here. I swear to God, I felt something move in that moment. Not air, not vibration, something alive. A soft shuffle behind me. I turned, light slicing across the apartment. Nothing, just the half-covered furniture, the doorway, the shadows. But then I noticed something strange. The dust on the floor near the hallway wasn't even. It had footprints. Bare, small, fresh, and they led toward the bedroom. My phone was trembling in my hand as I aimed the light down the hallway. The air felt colder there, heavy. The bedroom door was half closed, a thin strip of darkness spilling through. I took a step forward, then another. Inside, the air smelled worse, like damp wood and rusted metal. The first thing I saw was the mirror. It hung opposite the bed, tall and cracked in one corner. The glass was warped, but clear enough to show me standing there, pale and shaking. Then something flickered in the reflection. For a split second, there was a man standing behind me. Gray hair, hollow eyes, gone when I turned. I didn't wait another second. I bolted, stumbled through the living room, slammed the door behind me, and didn't stop running until I was back inside my own apartment. I locked the door, turned on every light I had, and sat on the floor trying to steady my breathing. For the next 2 hours, I rewatched the footage I'd recorded, frame by frame, over and over. Nothing appeared behind me, but near the end, just before I ran, the lamp blinked one final time. I translated it. Don't trust your reflection. I didn't leave my apartment for 2 days after that. The video kept replaying in my mind, the message, the mirror, that impossible glimpse of someone standing behind me. Every time I passed by my own reflection, I caught myself flinching. I started keeping the curtains closed, mirrors covered, every light on. But the lights across the courtyard didn't stop. On the third night, the blinking started earlier, 11:30 p.m. Faster, more desperate. I tried to ignore it. I turned the TV volume up, put my headphones on, even buried myself under a blanket. But then my phone buzzed. Unknown number, no caller ID. The text said, "Look." I froze. My fingers hovered over the phone, trembling. I didn't reply. Then another text, "Look out the window." My body moved before my brain could stop it. I pulled the curtain back an inch, just enough to see across the courtyard. The lamp was blinking again, but it wasn't in Reynolds' apartment anymore. It was in mine, behind me. I spun around, and there it was, my living room lamp, flashing in the same rhythm. I hadn't even turned it on. 3 short, 1 long, 2 short, N. I stumbled backward, heart pounding, as it continued to blink, forming letters. I translated them out loud, my voice breaking. HEL, Pete MB. And then, in the reflection of the dark TV screen, I saw him again. The man, gray hair, hollow eyes, standing right behind me. I turned nothing, but the lamp still pulsed, the air around it vibrating with static. Desperate, I grabbed my phone and started filming again. "Who are you?" I shouted. "What do you want from me?" The light went out. Total silence. Then, from the TV's black screen, my reflection blinked. But I didn't. I stood frozen, staring at my own image, only it wasn't perfectly synced anymore. Every time I moved, the reflection was just a second late. And when I whispered, "Hello," the reflection smiled. I didn't. It raised its hand and pressed it against the inside of the glass. For a moment, I thought it was a hallucination. Stress, lack of sleep, paranoia. But then I saw it. My reflection's fingertips pushed through the screen. The surface rippled like water. I fell backward, screaming, but the light in the room flared blindingly bright. Every lamp, every bulb, every flicker across the courtyard erupted in perfect sync, flashing so fast I couldn't tell where one ended and the next began. And then, just as suddenly, everything went black. I woke up lying on the floor, head pounding. The power was out. My phone was dead. When I finally got up, sunlight was bleeding through the curtains. Everything looked normal. The lamp was still cold. The TV screen was dark, cracked down the middle. I checked the footage on my phone after it charged. The recording from last night was gone. But there was a new file I didn't remember taking. A video, dated 3 years ago. The thumbnail showed my apartment, same angle, same couch. But the man holding the phone wasn't me. It was Mr. Reynolds. I opened it. The video was shaky, the sound distorted. He looked terrified. "If anyone finds this," he whispered, "don't look at the lights. Don't answer them. Once you do, it learns your name, then your birthday, then it takes your place." He turned the camera toward his reflection in the TV screen. There were 2 of him. The one in the reflection smiled. The one holding the phone screamed. The video ended. I moved out that day. Left everything. The furniture, the clothes, even the phone. I couldn't risk bringing anything that had touched that apartment with me. But here's the thing. 2 nights ago, I checked into a cheap motel the town's over. Different building, different everything. And last night, at exactly 11:47 p.m., The lamp on my bedside table blinked 3 short, 1 long to short. When I looked in the mirror this morning, my reflection blinked first.